Hello, good morning, good evening, good day, good afternoon. Look at my hair, it's out of control. Wow. Sorry, you guys. Feeling under the weather, did not have any time to fix the hair. Welcome back to another episode of the Unidentified Celebrity Review, your home for credible news, reviews, and commentary on everything UAP and UFO. My name's Luis Jimenez. Welcome back. Sorry for the technical difficulties. For some reason, my computer is running insanely slow right now. But thank you all for being here. It is our first Thursday show at 5 o'clock. We are officially prime time here at KGRA-DB Radio. So thank you to our producer, Bill. Thank you to everybody at KGRA-DB for believing in this show and letting us be part of this fun, wild ride. We truly appreciate it. So to all the newcomers of the show, welcome to the Unidentified Celebrity Review. I'm your host, Luis Jimenez. We've got our co-host, Jane and Rather, in the back, and our guest, Carl Crusher. Before we get to them, of course, want to say thank you to Das Tapes. They provide all of the tunes that you hear on the show. Their Bandcamp link is in the description below, so please check them out. Want to also remind you guys that this show is free. There's no paywall here. But if you want to support the show with the mighty dollar, you can do so with Patreon. We've got the Patreon link in the description below. We've also got super chats that are open. You could be a member of the YouTube channel. There's so many different ways to support by name if you care to do so. But if you can't, no sweat. The show's free, so don't worry about it. Other than that, let's get started with today's show. Thank you, Michelle. Michelle just got me some cold medicine that I'll probably be chugging during this show. But let's do it. Let's bring in our co-host. We've got a lot to talk about today. Mr. Ratherby Squidding.
Hey, Lou.
What's going on? Can you bring in Jane for me? Because my computer's just absolutely
is it hot out there in LA? Because I know when when it's hot out here, the computers start to slow down.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh shoot! Because we're in bad shape today. Because I don't even know if you guys are hearing me clear, but my internet is like funky.
we can
loud and clear.
Good thing we have Rather today.
Yeah, it's a good thing we have Rather in a cool climate. But yeah, summer is definitely coming. I can start to feel the heat already. I think partly it's because
it's here in Texas.
Is it there in Texas?
I don't know what it was today. I didn't go on a walk outside with the dog today, so I don't know what it was today. But yeah, we're getting into the hundreds now. So it's just.
Ouch! I saw a funny today. The other day that was a lady going out to get her mail in Texas, and she didn't even make it to the mailbox before she was like, full blown like.
It's 97 right now.
Yeah. Oh my God.
At 7
degrees.
At 7 p.m. So it was probably 100 today.
Yikes.
Yeah, this is just summer. I mean, I grew up in this heat and I've never adapted to it. What I did was I moved to a river town with a water park. That's what I did.
Good move.
Yeah. Good way to cool down.
Excellent move. Well, you guys, we've got so much to talk about today. We're going to touch. We just had NASA come out and say that they're going to start looking at UAPs, which you called for years ago, Jane. We're going to be talking about the weekend. We've got a UFO video of the day. We'll be bringing Weird Texas premiering next week. So that'll be fun. But today we're going to do UFO video of the day. We have two videos, one from our producer, Bill. Yeah. And one from the Jubilee, the Queen's Jubilee over there in the UK. Was that this weekend or was that last weekend? I thought it was this.
I think it was this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, it was this weekend because it was all over Twitter the last 24 hours. And then we'll be touching on the trademarking of the acronym or word UAP. Woo! I've got a statement from Ryan Sprague that we'll read when we get into that. So let's get into it because we got a lot to talk about. But first, let's bring in our guest friend of the show, Mr. Carl Crusher. Hey. Carl Vod. Shaking, buddy. How you doing?
Doing good. It's great to be here. It's been a little while. We've been busy doing all of our separate projects, and now here we are.
No, it's funny, man. Yeah, I mean, when we first started having like a panel on this show, when we first started, other than me, when we brought on Michael and Rather, and before Jane got here, Carl was helping the channel a lot too. So yeah, it's good to see that you're still on things. But yeah, you've gone through a journey, and his journey has led you to this magic Mesa in Utah, which is insane because I've talked to you behind the scenes about this, and I asked you a whole bunch of questions, and I thought the answers I was getting were pretty damn good. And just knowing who you are, like, just, you know, I was like, Carl doesn't seem like the guy that would just make this kind of stuff up. So it's cool to see you here. So where do we start with this, Carl? Like what's the best first question to ask you about this Magic Mesa? I mean, like, I guess let's start. What was the path to get there? Like, how did you stumble across this? I mean, you live in Utah. I know a lot of your videos now are sort of dedicated to studying and looking at the petroglyphs in Utah, which has been really cool to sort of follow your journey through that. So is that how you sort of stumbled into this Mesa?
Yeah, so it's kind of a weird story. So it kind of follows this idea that there's these places like Skinwalker Ranch or Blind Frog Ranch and around the world, and you read in like Project Blue Book files, like the Hestilin lights and different locations that supposedly have strange stuff that goes on. And I wasn't necessarily like out to try and find one of these locations. I was honestly like over a year ago, just realized I lived in the desert Southwest here, and I was surrounded with all these really cool petroglyphs and ancient carvings. And some of them, like over in Nevada, there's I can't remember the name of the lake, like Pyramid Lake, I think it's called. There's petroglyphs over there that are like older than the pyramids in Egypt. And it blows my mind. They can't really accurately date them, but they can date like the algae and the moss that grows over top of them and some of the patina that forms over the carvings. So they can get an idea based on the geology of like how old these are. And I just got kind of hooked on that aspect of it, like fascinated with it. I was like, wow, there's actually some like right by my house, and there's houses built around them in the neighborhood, and you could just go up and look at them. I couldn't believe that. So I just started going around kind of like for something to do, to go hike and look at them, and good content for my YouTube channel. You know, like I'm going to go out and look at, it's like my own version of Ancient Aliens research, right? Because you see it on that show. They show the petroglyphs and everything. I thought, wow, this is like all right around me. So I got into it like that and started looking at them and finding a bunch of them. And as I got into it, I started studying like the native folklore and the myths, the beliefs kind of revolving around what the petroglyphs could mean and the stories associated with it. And then I started going down that rabbit hole where I realized that there was this like a vast network or connection or trade route or an ancient civilization that all seemed connected, that nobody seemed to have any answers to, that was all tied together through these carvings and petroglyphs. And no matter where I went and who I asked to, they would all give kind of similar weird answers to it, you know? And so I started basically being like, okay, I'm just going to go look at these carvings, the petroglyphs and the pictographs raw, and look at them without all of this like interpretation. I'm just going to look at them like, if I didn't know how to read and write like a primitive Stone Age tool worker, and I was trying to describe something or tell a story, like how would I see things and how would I deal with it? So I started going to these locations and doing meditation and trying to understand what they mean and follow the clues around. And what was weird was I started finding connections, like some of the patterns and the symbols pointed to other places. And when I would go there and look around, lo and behold, I would find more stuff, and I would find clues and they would point here and there. And I just felt like I kept missing it, like what I was looking for. It didn't seem to make sense that they just pointed like to hunting grounds or watering holes, because it's like where they were pointing is right by lakes and rivers. It doesn't make any sense. Like there's animals everywhere. So like, what does this really lead to? So as I tried to follow the clues around, I kept zigzagging back and forth this one spot for like over a year, feeling like it's got to point to like a cave or an entrance or a doorway. Like all these symbols are so weird. They like point to this one location. I just kept missing it. And then finally this guy got in touch with me, and he was like, hey, I've been watching your videos. I came across your stuff on the internet, and my family's been experiencing some weird stuff on this property right where you've been doing your research. And so I want to invite you to come and meet us, and we'll tell you what's going on. So I went and met with the family. I was like super skeptical, and the stories that they told me were like very similar to stuff that you hear out of the Uintah Basin, like Skinwalker Ranch stuff. Like they've seen stuff in the sky, like balls of light in the sky, these forms of light that appear on the side of the mountain on the mesa that change shape. They've seen figures of light and even shadow figures come down and right up to them within like 10 feet away and then disappear. And they just told me all these stories. And so I was like, wow, maybe this is like what I'm looking for. So I waited. I went there one night with the family. We stayed there like maybe an hour and a half and didn't see anything. And the wind was blowing. It was like super cold. So we were like, okay, so I'm supposed to look here. So they showed me where it was at. So I left. I waited like 3 weeks and didn't tell anybody when I was going to go back. I just had the maintenance guy basically show up there and open the gate, and had a friend of mine that I trusted show up to go with me so I'm not alone. And first night there, filmed over 20 minutes of a lot of like what the family described, like strange plasma forms appearing or shapes of light appearing on the side of this mesa, almost like being at the drive-in movie. But you're swiveling your head around, you're trying to look for a point of origin. You're trying to see where there's a spotlight or where there's headlights coming. And I've been hiking all over this place trying to debunk it. And I can't debunk it other than the fact that where the phenomena seems to be appearing and how it appears is right in line with several thousands of year old Native American artifacts and ritual sites that all line up to it being something real. And so it's really fascinating to me, and I'm still trying to figure it out.
So if you can, I'll open it up after this question to you guys. But if you can describe to the audience, I don't have a video pulled up. I wasn't sure if you were going to bring anything with you, but I figured you probably have something pulled up. But for the radio audience who's listening in, if you could describe what you and two other people saw, and what you not just saw, but you videotaped it, and yeah, just so people know exactly what kind of phenomena we're dealing with, even though this probably extends past just that mesa anomaly.
Yeah, let me see if you want. I can try to pull it up. I have my whole presentation that I put together so people can see it. Let me try to share the screen while I'm describing that if you want.
It's some of the best. It's some of the best footage I've seen.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty
it
good.
Really
So
is. Like,
and just for the people who are listening who haven't seen this, I would definitely go check out Carl the Crusher's channel. He's got his whole presentation is up there. He made it free for everybody to see as soon as he made his presentation at the I'm sorry, what was the
UFO Disclosure Symposium.
That's the word I was trying to think of. These at the symposium, and then put it on YouTube for everybody to check out. But essentially, this whole side of a mountain lights up at night and puts very symmetrical shapes on the side of this mesa. And it's not just like a little hill. If you could describe, how big is this mesa? How big is this mountain face?
I need to measure it from bottom to top. It's got to be 300 or 400 feet tall. I know where I'm standing away from it and filming it is about, I'm trying to remember now off the top of my head. It's like 150 feet away.
And what time at night did you film this again?
This was from like, because I go there and I hike around all day and stay there till the sun goes down. The first time I was there till like probably 1 a.m. I've been back 4 or 5 times, and out of the like 4 times I've been back, I've seen the phenomena appear 3 out of the 4 times.
Wow. So this is an ongoing, reoccurring phenomenon. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, and what's weird to me is that the ancient Native American stuff that lines up with how the phenomenon appears is what makes me go, how long has this been going on? Like,
what specifically about those ancient artifacts that lines up to what you see on that mountain face?
It exactly lines up. There's ancient medicine wheels, Native American medicine wheels down in the valley right in front of the mesa, and there's one on top of the mesa. And when you draw a line between one ritual wheel and the other, where the phenomena appears is exactly on the path. It also fits in line with the story that's told on the petroglyphs that goes up the entire cliff face on the opposing side of the valley. So the whole story of the petroglyphs that goes back thousands of years, and the rituals that are all built around this site and line up with the mesa have to do with the conjunction with the North Star and the rotation of the Big Dipper around the North Star, the 4 cardinal directions, and these ceremonies that had to do with controlling time, space-time, and opening dimensional portals to make contact with supernatural beings or the gods. And all of it lines up with this mesa, and I can't explain it. It's either they saw the lights and the phenomena was going on, and so they built their rituals and their ceremonies over top of it thousands of years ago, potentially, and they worshipped it, or the ceremonies and the rituals that they were doing like have some kind of real magic or power to it. One or the other, I don't know. It certainly is not like headlights in the distance creating shadow puppets. I've debunked the hell out of that for days and days on end, trying to stand on every possible point and turn around and look and film in every direction. And luckily here in a little bit, I'm not going to say when, taking an actual team of other people back in there to help validate it with me.
Yeah.
Right on.
Awesome.
Rather, what do you got?
Yeah. Well, have you gone to the actual mountain and like walked up there while the phenomena is happening and like Ben, because I'm curious, can you see like light from the ground there, or can you like look out and like does the light is it cast on you when you're there, or have you been to the actual place when it's
Yeah.
happening?
So actually walking up on the mesa in the dark while the phenomena is appearing, I have recommended not to do that, and I have not done that yet until we get radiation detection and we test for more things just to make sure it's safe. Based on some of the scientists and people that I've had look at the footage that immediately came back and just warned me not to go walk up there, based on what they saw and what it could be. Even if there is a natural explanation, it might not be super safe for health reasons and things. So we're being cautious about that. But even from the level of like, is it, being able to go and walk up there requires special permissions, because part of this land does fall on Native American lands, and I'm working with people to get access to do that. But as far as right up to the base of it and around the surrounding area, I have special permission from the family and the people that have access to that property to go and do research there. And so I've gone all over that place and looked around. So I can't find any natural explanation for it as far as like just a light source or something around there. It doesn't make any sense that would be the case to me at this point.
And I guess kind of along those lines, how remote is it? Is there traffic highways nearby and, civilization or,
It's surprisingly closer to people than you would realize. People walk by it, they hike by it. There is driving that goes by there. But I know the immediate reaction, and my personal reaction when I saw it with my own eyes, was to turn around and to look for where this is coming from. And that process over the course of the first night seeing it to now, I have not been able to find an answer to at all, other than the ancient esoteric stuff that lines up with it. No, honestly, I haven't been able to find an explanation to it that is as simple as like it being the neighborhood town or somebody with a spotlight. I mean, I've tried everything that I can do within my current budget to try and figure out if it's just some stupid explanation, because I'm obsessed with it. It's driving me crazy trying to figure out what's causing it. But it's the same kind of thing. Like, I know you asked me, Lou, like if you could describe it, like when you're there. It is hard to describe. It's similar if anybody's watched the show, like the Skinwalker Ranch TV show. Right in the intro of every episode, they show that moment where the mesa lights up there in the basin right on Skinwalker Ranch, and it looks like glowing lights, almost like a glitch in the matrix, like moving across the surface of the mesa. And there at Skinwalker Ranch is no different. You can go along the entire south side of Skinwalker Ranch, or drive along there through the reservation land and see the entire thing and point lights and lasers and look right at everywhere they're doing their research too, and try to point spotlights at their mesa to make that happen if you want it. It's just when you're there and you see it, it's completely different than headlights. I mean, it's just not the same.
Yeah, it is like a completely uniform light, it looked like, right? Like
it's different too, because at times it's like almost like a solid shape, like a triangle or a rectangle or a square, and then at other times it seems like it's moving or growing on the edges, and then it will like flourish or on the edges, or and at some points there it's almost like a solid plasma form, and then almost like a gaseous layer over top. It's like seeing the northern lights, or like the aurora borealis, only it doesn't make any sense because it's like on the ground in front of your face, like and
then you're
moving around and changing shapes, and then what's weird is it feels like when you're sitting there, like, man, it looked like it made a triangle, then it would go and make a triangle, almost like it was interactive or something. It was super bizarre. I don't know how to explain that either. We're still like experimenting with all of that.
And the most compelling footage you had, it looked like it was taken with an infrared camera. Is that right? And I guess, kind of the follow-up is how visible is it just with the naked eye? Would it be easy to miss, or is it pretty obvious with the unaided eye as well?
I think if it was like with the light pollution, like if it was like a full moon, you could probably be walking around, and if you weren't like looking right at it, you might not see it. But if you stood there, I think even on a full moon and just like looked at it and kind of opened, your own natural night vision and let it open, you would see it. I was shocked at how clear it was, even with the naked eye. A lot of the footage that I filmed, I'm holding, after I get it on camera, I'm looking up above over the camera because I just, wanted to see it. And on the footage with the night vision, because it is like 720p, it is full spectrum IR. And so it does give it like a yellow, kind of a greenish yellow tone to it. But with the naked eye, it's more like a white, vivid blue. Like at those times when it opens, like almost like a wave coming down, you would swear it looks like a wall of like translucent wedding dresses coming down, like ghosts coming at you. Wow. It's freaky. It's really surreal to stand there. Like when I go by myself, it's very creepy. But I've never felt like in danger or anything. I just haven't like walked up there or walked around while it's happening yet. I might when I have some better friends.
Well, I mean, I just also like climbing up a mountain at night is not something you do. Like
I do it all the time. It's not something I'm opposed to. I'll go up there. I'm not afraid to go up there. I've just been warned by a lot of people. I'm gonna when I do. I want to do it right.
That makes sense. Take a Geiger counter, radiation detector. Yeah,
no, for sure. Well, I'm just saying from just a hiking rule, you usually don't hike at night because you twist an ankle or a snake.
Aren't there bears
or whatever, or a wolf or something? I don't know.
And dino beavers, right?
Or a dino beaver,
it gets creepy at night. Yeah, walking around there for sure.
Well, I know that you are heavily in the RC, and Lord Ludacris asked a pretty decent question here, or he made a decent statement. Take a drone out there and fly it up in the air and see if the lights are reflecting.
Yeah, I got to do that.
Drone?
I have a drone, got it all ready. So I went through like a divorce last year, and all my drone stuff got split apart into 2 different households. So I just pieced all my drone stuff kind of back together. So that's part of the plan, is to go and drone fly during the day and at night. I really, really, really want to get it on something other than a night vision camera. Like I need to get something where the aperture opens up enough to get that field, and just get it like with a exposure or something with the higher quality camera, because the cell phone, as much as I sit there and mess with it, I can't catch it. It just gets it on night vision and you can see it with your own eye. But you know how it is, like when you try to take a picture of the moon at night with your phone, it's like it doesn't do it justice from what you're like seeing with your own eyes. It's the same kind of deal. But I'm working on it. I really want to get the footage. I do. I'm dying.
No, I know you do. I mean, I'm pretty damn curious, like what it would look like with a like I've got a Sony here camera, like with a fully open aperture, like you say, and you're able to film it. I'm curious to know, especially in an all night setting when you're taking photos of stars. These cameras have come a really long way in exposure. And
I think we can get it.
I think you can get it too. Yeah. I'm excited. Because I know from an audio and video perspective, your stuff. So if there's anybody who can film this and actually make it tangible, I guess, for the audience who's viewing it, because unless you're there, you really don't know. But I have a lot of confidence that you're going to film this and get this the right way.
Well, see, that's one of the other questions. You're like, unless you're there and I have those questions too. I'm like, well, does it appear if there's nobody there watching, or is it like an interactive type of phenomenon that's strange like that? I want to set up cameras that can run and get permission to tap into power, so that like we have sensitive equipment to like catch it if it kicks off and starts happening when nobody's even around, because that would indicate it's more like a natural, geological phenomenon, or, somehow the Mesa is acting like a capacitor resonating light or something from solar energy. I don't even know, but like, I just want to go through the process, but like doing it all alone, trying to go in there with my own equipment and getting permission on land that's not even mine and part reservation. It's, logistically complicated, but I'm working at it. I've got permission from the people that have access to the property and work on the property already there. And so they're being really cool about it. And they want to know too. That's the other thing, is the family, they've seen it for over a decade. And the people that lived there before them, the lady was the one that told them about it. And, like it's been going on and on for like over 20 years with the people there. Yeah. So that's what boggles my mind. Like,
did the people on the ranch, have they ever tried to contact anybody before they contacted you?
No, they talked to the local Native American people, and the answers that they got was, they tell them the story about the shaman who came in ancient times and saved the world from a flood or something, and then taught the people. And they say, some of them say, he lives in the Mesa, and other ones say he died and is buried in the Mesa. And that's the story. It's bizarre. Yeah.
Don't dig, Carl. Don't dig.
Don't, whatever you do, don't dig.
That's why I'm like, should I walk up there? What if I like fall in through a portal or something? I don't know. Missing 411 or something. I don't know.
Have you researched the Marfa lights at all? It would be so fun to go down to the Marfa lights with you. Glurp the Alien has a drone too, by the way. But what's interesting is it reminds me of the Marfa lights, because it's a reoccurring, ongoing phenomenon, right? That you could just kind of see, if you're curious enough. But it's not quite the same, because it's lights in the sky, not necessarily light projecting over a mountain. But what's interesting is like Big Bend National Park and a big mountainous range is like right by Marfa, right? And I'm trying to wonder, what other sites are there on the globe where there's reoccurring phenomenon, and is this like so much more common than we know? Like, if you like took infrared out to, is it the mountains? Is it like all the mountains for all we know, and there's something special about all the mountains, or is it just like these specific areas? Like, what's your take? Is it like, what's your take on where these ley lines are?
I'm super curious about all those questions too. I'm like, because now I'm like, what about these other spots where, in a way, the petroglyphs are almost more compelling and the Mesa is not there? I wonder, like, how many people go hike 4 miles up this canyon and then stay in this spot overnight and look for glowing plasma forms? Nobody does
not in
that.
Texas. I'll tell you right now, that's not happening in Texas. Like, that's like just a blackout like spot of Texas, that like nobody really is at, So.
Yeah, it's kind of a random thing. Like, it's kind of a strange thing that, like, I'm even up there in the dark at night doing like paranormal investigating. It's like super rare that, I don't know, maybe a lot of people are doing it and I haven't met them yet. But I think it's just kind of odd. It seems like people would have to like kind of live there and see it and know it, and then you'd hear about it. I don't know. But I do think that like it does have something to do with the earth and the way that reality is in general, whether it has to do with the electromagnetic spectrum of the earth and our connection with it, and how there's glitches in that. Like, I've theorized for a long time, like maybe up in the Uintah Basin, there's like a meteorite impact that creates glitches in the matrix or reality when you walk over top of these alien signals. But then when you start to capture it with scientific equipment, then you realize there's something more there than just it affecting human biology by walking into some anomalous zone, but I do think that there are definitely spots all over the world, and the ancient people were more sensitive to that. They didn't have television, they didn't have cell phones, they didn't have all the media and newspapers and entertainment to distract them. They were just like waking up in the morning and immediately in nature and in their environment, and that was their world. And so if they were sensitive to that, and maybe not knowing how to read or write and just going out looking for food and water, like puts you more in touch with the energy of the earth in some way. And maybe they found these locations and they worship them, or somehow their spiritual practices enhance these natural locations. I don't know. I'm curious about all of it, but it makes me want to go to other spots and see if there's more, because obviously this spot was significant, and there's still something going on there.
I'm so glad you're here. Go ahead, Riley.
Have you taken that infrared scope and looked around your place, looked around other places to see if you can't find this phenomena other places, or it sounds like you're about
obviously
to do that,
now that I'm like, when I'm gonna go do a night investigation, like a moth to the flame, I go right back to the Mesa lately, because it's like I've got something, so it feels like a distraction. But that's definitely something I want to do. Is it like something I can go to the petroglyphs right behind my house? Would be way more convenient if I could find a spot to study the phenomena there, instead of somewhere like over an hour away from me I gotta drive to. But yeah, it would be cool to find something to back it up. I would be shocked if there's not more places like this. I just think it's unique that I happen to be fascinated in Skinwalker Ranch and in the ancient petroglyphs and UFOs and paranormal stuff. It's just this weird right combination to get put in touch with this family and shown this spot. And there it is. So I'm just trying to do the best I can with it.
Yeah, how far away is it from Skinwalker Ranch? Can you share that with us?
Yeah, it's on the opposite corner of the state, honestly. So Skinwalker Ranch is up in the Uintah Basin on the northeast side, up there by Blind Frog Ranch and all that. And I'm down on the southwest corner. So it's kind of on the corner of Arizona, Nevada. So about 2 hours east of Area 51.
It's a good reference point.
Yep.
How long does it take you to get out there each time you go?
To the Mesa?
Yeah.
Well, from where I live right now, it's... Yeah, to get there to the parking lot, it's about an hour.
Wow.
45 minutes to an hour.
Just so everybody knows, sorry, I didn't mean to cut off your question there, rather. I'm just having insane internet issues. But I'm going to include the link to Carl's video that shows all of this in the description. I've got a link to Carl's Twitter in the description below, but I'll also link his video in the description below, and I'm going to put it in the chat and pin it for you guys as well. I can't pin it because we've got a poll, but I'll put it for you guys in the chat. If you want to go just check it out later, you can. But there it is right there. I just put it in there for you guys. Sorry, rather, you were saying.
Have you recorded like the timestamps that you see it, and tried to notice any patterns on how often it's occurring, or if it happens the same time every night or something like that?
Yeah, it seems to be pretty consistent. As far as time stamping, that's something that I suck with my equipment. I got to get better at. Everybody yells at me like that. Why does it say 12 o'clock on your camera? But yeah, I just need to go in and put the battery in and set it all up to get the accurate timestamps. But it just seems to have to do. This is what is crazy to me too. I'm like, how can we see if it's going on during the daytime? It just falls into our blind spot because the sunlight blanks it out. Like, is it actively going on even during the day? You just can't see it. And is there a way to detect it and record it without even having to see it visually? Like, I want to try and figure all that out as well. But going back and being able to duplicate it with multiple different types of equipment to double check it, I think is the way to go. Because just having the one camera there isn't convincing. It is enough to me because I saw it with my own eyes. I've filmed it and I've talked to the family. I've seen, still photos where people have done long exposure pictures and caught it, and the family showed me some of those. But yeah, it's just a matter of time. It's like the first time I saw it was on, what was it, April 30th to May 1st. It was that night. So it wasn't even that long ago, and it's just all been on my lap, and I've been going back and back trying to figure it out. So yeah, I still have a lot to do as far as figuring out the right kind of camera and to get the best evidence and all of that.
What I love about you is because you are not woo woo. It is just woo, and like you propose these like big ideas, but you actually go out and you do the legwork and you do the critical thinking and you think from the skeptic point of view, but you still think from like your, I don't know, I mean your point of view, right, or a more open minded point of view, and listening to the locals in the area. I think it's so awesome. I am curious about the consciousness aspect. So I don't know if like even when you're in meditating, if you feel like you get ideas during meditation or you come to conclusions about maybe what the phenomenon could be during that, and is that a positive experience? And do you have any hitchhikers with you, right? Because Skinwalker Ranch, it seems just, I don't know, it seems a lot more darkness there. People tend to not have good or have some people have bad experiences there. Why do you think this is different for you, if it is?
That's a tough one. It's kind of mixed because I've been going to a lot of different sites. So, as far as like the hitchhiker question, I definitely had some weird stuff go on in my life. I've had stuff come unraveled in my life, and you've been through a lot of problems and trials and stuff over the last while, especially even since getting into a lot of this stuff. I've even gone to these ancient sites and done meditation and gotten really sick and like come out and been, before I could even make it back to my truck, I'm throwing up. And by the time I get home, very, very sick, and had to try and like straighten myself back out, kind of just drinking a lot of water and resting and trying to do a lot of meditation and stuff. And I've even gone back to the same spot and gotten sick again.
Weird.
So I tried.
Don't go back, Carl.
I know.
He's our biosensor. Don't tell him to not go back.
Taking one for the team.
Yeah. So the thing is I try to do the whole thing. Like with the Mesa, seeing Paul Hynek, he told me, he's like, when you tell the story, if you go into too much detail, people start to think you sound like the chosen one. And I don't want that, because I don't feel that way. But I will say that, like, I've been going up to this spot, looking at these petroglyphs, for puzzling over them, especially this one spot, for over a year, and kind of like hooked on it, like intrigued. And when I would go to this spot and sit and meditate, every time I was like, this is like my favorite spot. It's got this beautiful view. Meditations are just really deep and like amazing. I feel so connected. It's always positive, like here. And I found out later, watching these DVDs trying to understand the meaning of the petroglyphs, that I was actually sitting on the ancient shaman's seat, which is the rock that the rituals where the shaman would sit to do his meditation. And that's the same place that I picked to sit. And I don't know why I picked that spot, but there's the string of coincidences along the road that led me to the base of the Mesa. It's kind of blown my mind.
Carl, you're the chosen one.
I know Kung Fu now.
You're the chosen one. Yeah, right? You know Kung
right.
Fu. Dude, okay,
No.
so I'm sorry, I didn't see this video that you popped up earlier because my whole computer's just running at a snail's pace right now. But should I bring up this video so we can show
Yeah,
folks?
you can. People want to see what the Mesa looks like. This is the
Yeah, because we got a lot of people in the chat going, what's this Mesa thing?
Yeah, so
what are we talking about?
This is what it looks like, to bring everybody up to speed. It's so hard to put into words and even visualize, because what you imagine in your head is totally not like what you see. Totally.
Right.
But this is like me standing in front of the Mesa itself for perspective, and then just for scale, I overlaid what the phenomenon appears like at night, like to scale. So on the Mesa, you'd see it light up like that.
I would also just keep in mind, folks, that the lit up part you're seeing, this is an infrared. With an infrared camera, they're capturing this Mesa lighting up like this. So yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Carl.
Yeah, so this is like a daytime shot of me like standing here, and then I took a night vision shot and overlaid it just so you get a sense of scale and where it's at on the Mesa. And then these are just some screenshots. That's like a laser pointer pointed at the bottom edge of it, appearing kind of like a rectangle. We get this like wedge shape, this big rectangular shape, sometimes a square like this, again with the laser pointer. And then sometimes it looks like a rip or a tear going across, and sometimes that's like a wave moving. And then other times here's another overlay example. It's like fingers coming up out of the ground.
Wow.
Like this. And I've had people say that it looks almost like people standing there when this happened, when I caught this on camera. I was filming this one, standing there looking above the lens, and I could have sworn that there was like 4 people that stood up behind the rocks and then crouched back down. But it was all just fingers of light poking up.
Right. And just also keep in mind that the people, what's funny about this story is you went out there, right, with the permission of the family, and you get out there, you get to the gate that allows you access to get this footage. And you get to the gate, and the security guard for the property is there. Yeah. And starts questioning you. And then before you know it, this guy's got the night vision camera in his hand, and he's filming this.
He's filming it with us, yeah.
You know, and he's like,
what are you guys doing here? And we're like, my buddy that's with me, he's like, we're taking pictures. And I'm like, no, we're like looking for ghosts. We're paranormal hunting and looking for UFOs, because I'm like trying to make friends with this guy, you know. And he's like, you're what? And he's just there to unlock the gate. And so I started showing him my equipment, and he was like, can I look through it? And so I just pulled him up a camp chair. He ended up staying with us the whole time. So he was our third witness. Yeah.
That to me is the most fascinating part. You went out there with a buddy, and you guys get out there. You serendipitously run into the security guard.
Yeah, and the owner of the property. I didn't tell them anything. We pull up. I'm getting my gear out. And he's the owner of the properties there walking his dog, and the maintenance guy pulls up with his truck, and he goes, Carl, what are you doing here? And I was like, I'm here going to do my investigation tonight. And he's like, oh, cool. And so he like was able to go and let me right in the gate and all of that. So yeah, there's so many strings of synchronicities and weird stuff like that along the way. That's been pretty cool.
We had a question from the audience. Thank you so much for the donation, Brian McDonald. With a $20 super chat that says, yay, super chats work for me again. What happened? Why were they not working for you before? I'm glad they're working again. I am as well. Carl, has there been any geomagnetic or gravitic measurements at the site? Probably not yet, right? Because you've only been out there 2-3 times.
I looked that up. I'm trying to go through the slides really quick. This is like a comparison of like headlights and a spotlight compared to what the Mesa looks like.
I love that you did this.
Yeah, these are all videos too, by the way. Like if you go here, this is like a 6-minute long video that actually shows the phenomenon appearing. Let's see. This is what like headlights and spotlight looks like. You can see the bugs and everything flying. You can see the point of origin. It lights up the whole valley, everything, you know, but then the Mesa lights up and it looks like this.
Right.
Like weird.
Yeah, that's not headlights.
That's not headlights.
Maybe it's a flying spaceship car.
Right.
From above.
I mean, the fluorescent rocks or algae seems to be like what it looks like to me, but that I've never heard of.
I went back with a black light too. So I have a whole video where I go back with a powerful black light and try to check for bioluminescence and all that too.
People have called the Marfa headlights as well, but the thing is, I don't know that anybody's definitively. First of all, nobody's definitively proved that, and second of all, the lights in Marfa, Texas, were seen in the 1800s. So like the stories go back a long time, just like here, and probably before. So yeah, just another like weird connection, right?
Yeah, this is the magnetic anomaly map, the governmental map for the magnetic lines of the Earth, and the area where the Mesa sits right in the yellow. So red would be like a high geomagnetics, green would be like none, yellow's kind of like in the middle, so sort of neutral. I also thought it might be like piezoelectric, like crystal compression can create glowing rocks. But I don't know, I even looked up the geology. It does have evaporative gypsum, but I'm not aware of gypsum glowing like quartz does. But maybe there's a huge slab of quartz in the Mesa and it's being compressed under fault lines or something that's causing it to glow. But what's weird is this connection. I'll get through. These are some of the petroglyphs. Tell me if I'm going too fast. I'm just clicking.
No, it's okay. Yeah, go for it.
These are some of the petroglyphs just in southern Utah that show the mysterious culture back then. These are petroglyphs that pointing right at the Mesa. These 2 spirals. That's the Mesa in the distance there. And those are all.
So how do you determine that those? I'm curious. How do you determine that those 2 spirals are pointing at the Mesa? Is it because they're in a line there? I guess they're next to each other.
without showing you, and I do have video kind of explaining this, where when you follow, there's other petroglyphs that look like this, only where the spiral point goes off the end, there's actually an arrow, and they point, and you can follow them down and down and down the hill until they get to a certain point, and then the petroglyphs stop where you feel like, where did they go? And then there's this one perfect little lookout spot in the boulders where if you crawled down and looked right at where these spirals are, and you look out through the crack in the rocks, it's like watching TV at the drive-in movie. You're looking right at the mesa, like a safe lookout. So it's just kind of in correlation, but there's other, these aren't the wheels that I'm talking about. Those are, I'll show you those in a second, and how those line up is even stranger. So this is pottery just laying on the surface of the ground all over here. Ancient pottery piled, here's some piled up by this marker stone. Here's some.
Wow.
This one looks like it has a hole drilled through it perfectly. Just laying on top of the ground. Okay, so this is the actual medicine wheel, the ritual wheel that I'm talking about that's down on the valley floor.
Okay.
And so this is down on the valley floor, lined up straight with the mesa. And the reason that I know it's lined up with the mesa is that when I went on Google Earth, or like drone view, right, and zoom in, there's a second medicine wheel on top of the mesa right there. And then what I did was I drew a line from the one on the right down in the valley to the medicine ritual wheel on top of the mesa on the left. And lo and behold, right where I'm standing and filming, the phenomena is right in the path of where these two medicine wheels line up.
What is the significance of the medicine wheel? Like, what does that represent? And
Rather, I'm glad you asked, because I have the next slides. Yeah. So the significance of the medicine wheel. So if you're standing at the one in the valley, this would be like where you would see the phenomena up here, which is right where they would have done the ritual. So the medicine wheel today, you would see it painted these 4 colors for the different cardinal directions. So you have the wheel in the valley and the one on top of the mesa in alignment there. This is what they would look like today. They still use them for dream catchers and different decorations and things. But they called it the sacred hoop or the Sundance circle, and it represented the boundaries of reality from north, south, east to west, and the rotation of time. Had to do with the Big Dipper, the chariot or the wheel of time going around the North Star. It's kind of where you actually get the swastika symbol from, is the Big Dipper rotating around. It's a symbol of like the universal clock of time and Earth's rotation. It's the same thing that they do in Tibet with the Kala Chakra mandala. It has to do with, you see the little wagon wheels around the outside, and there's when you go in closer into the blue and white rim, it's actually a chariot being pulled. And you get the same like chariot of the gods and the chariot and all that stuff, and the wheel of time and all that in every ancient culture or like around the world. And the ritual is you do a certain sacred dance or ceremony in a circular path, depending on your belief system, around this wheel in conjunction with the astronomy of the Big Dipper and the North Star. And supposedly, if you were a shaman and knew how to do this ritual in the right way, the folklore is that you would open up dimensional portals and time travel and travel to other dimensions, or supernatural beings would come through and interact with you. And that's the folklore. That is the folklore.
And that doesn't necessarily mean, and I'm assuming that especially if you mix medicines with these things, like I was listening to Neil Brennan the other day, who's the writer for the Chappelle Show. He's like, I'm an atheist and I took ayahuasca and I'm no longer an atheist. He's like, yeah, I never believed in a God, but then I was sitting in a room with what I can only perceive as God-like. So were there any other elements like that when these Native American tribes were doing these ceremonies and prayers, and maybe that feeling of being, or time traveling, or portals or any of these things that we're seeing were also in conjunction with maybe some psychedelic drugs they were taking. So maybe they were taking a spiritual trip, but they were physically where they were. They weren't going anywhere. It was this sort of spirit world, if that makes sense.
Yeah, maybe you're talking about non-physical travel or consciousness travel, like
and then when interpreted
remote viewing, and then their visionary experiences they interpreted back onto the rocks. It's all possible. Yeah, it's all very possible. What I can't explain is how it leaves a residue on a mountain, or how it has some sort of evidence that I can capture on my night vision. It seems correlated.
Right. Well, your night vision's not taking DMT.
Right.
Yeah.
But
I'm not taking DMT or mushrooms or any of that.
Yeah.
Right. I don't do anything.
Well, and I'm glad you're doing that approach, Carl, so that we can understand this. But like, to the question of like whether or not like DMT could influence your experience, that's almost like a separate universe of exploration, right? Like I think in the olden times, in the old days, people would sit around, when there was no TV, they would sit around like a campfire and they would talk about their dreams.
Yeah.
And now it's like, don't tell me about your dream. I don't want to hear about your dream. Dreams aren't important anymore. They're just like, oh yeah, just everybody has a dream about losing teeth. It means you're worried about your money. Is that maybe a mistake? Should we maybe try to get back to that inner work, if you will, and maybe people during this time, they didn't have an iPad to distract them, they didn't have the lovely UCR show to distract them. Maybe there was medicine involved, and I don't necessarily. Do you think that would debunk the experience, or would that just be a data point?
Not to me. To me, it's just a data point. I think, people are going to approach it. Some people come in and they're like, I'm only going to use scientific recording equipment and data, and I'm going to invalidate my own intuition and not trust it. And other people go in and they're just spiritual and they're trusting their intuition. And it's like a whole interconnected experience with their own soul and consciousness and all of that. And I'm kind of more, I don't know, I really... not to draw unfair correlations, but I really relate to and look up to like the work of John Keel a lot, where he was open-minded to a whole spectrum, where, like I go into the area and I'm trying to be meditative and intuitive and paying attention, because a lot of these stories have to do with like telepathic communication or paranormal encounters. I don't know how you experience seeing a skinwalker or something, but if I see one or a shadow figure, I want my intellect and my consciousness intact. So I've been doing a lot of meditation work and everything to be clear on my present grasp of reality and my awareness, and when there's shifts in that and what those mean in altered states of consciousnness. And so I think using substances is something that's well known and established in ancient cultures, whether it be peyote or different shamanistic rituals or forms of DMT, like the toad that's out in the desert and everything. So I don't know. I can't answer that question and tell you what the ancient people were doing or the shaman.
Yeah, sure.
But I do know that when I go to these locations, I try to approach it with all of my apertures open, whether it be my scientific equipment that I can happen to afford that I have on me to capture the data, but I'm also really paying attention to my dreams, whether I feel like I'm having paranormal encounters and experiences, whether anything's following me home, whether or not I feel sick, the whole thing. I'm trying to just pay attention to all of it.
Yeah, document it, I think as well would be important. Yeah. Go ahead, Jane. Sorry.
Well, I just want to just kind of remind folks, like, imagine a world without TV or movies. Your dreams are going to be the most vivid things.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you think about all this media, it's like we had movies before movies. And so they mattered a lot. That was the movie, you get your popcorn to go see and talk about. And so I think we have lost a lot of that. And it's just something to think about. And I didn't have weird dreams until, like I've shared this before, until I got pregnant with my son. So that was very weird for me, that I was just like a normal dream. I had a few lucid dreams, like just on accident. But then I got pregnant with my son. I had several like weird intuitive dreams that came true the next day, like boring stuff, like minutia stuff, nothing interesting, only when I was pregnant. And then I had a few overlapping dreams with my son afterward. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's something to like consciousness and dreams. And I had to have those experiences myself. And I understand if you haven't had them yourself, that's hard to believe. But I am like, I totally believe there's something to that, just personally.
I do too.
Yeah.
I feel like my whole experience has been inseparable from all of that, from the connection with my meditation experiences and the dreams that I have, in between what I would consider visionary encounters and experiences. But I use protocol, I use meditation methods, and I use the Gateway method that was used by the Stanford Research Institute. I use different forms of remote viewing, and it just kind of depends on what I feel like what my task is, or what I want to do, or how I'm trying to approach it. I'm trying to get experienced and in touch with all of those different aspects, because I feel like if you don't know who you are or what you're experiencing, then you're going to put a bunch of subjective interpretations onto everything else that you're doing. So I'm trying to take all that into account. But part of it is just connecting with the petroglyphs and the people and trying to follow those clues. It's just trying to even think the way that they would think. You have to just completely pull your head out of the modern world. It does not work going in there.
I think it's almost impossible, right?
No way.
I mean,
no way. You're not even
how ingrained the modern world is into us.
You have to visualize a time frame that's potentially thousands of years ago where it didn't even look the same. We're talking about evidence where there could be paleo people that were hunting mammoths. I mean, just imagine trying to think like them and move like them and how they lived. Their problems day to day were way different than ours. Yeah. And so try to visualize that when I walk around.
Before we interject, just before we move on, what's the Gateway method? I've never heard of that. I know remote viewing, meditation in general. Is there somewhere we could learn more about that? Or is there like a soundbite to describe that? Yeah.
Yeah, the best place I think you could go is probably the museumoftarot.org. He's a buddy of mine, has a website where he has a lot of the source recordings and stuff. But you can go to the Monroe Institute. They have a website. You can actually go to their institute and take the classes. And it's just like a meditation method to kind of adjust your perceptions and your awareness into altered states of consciousness just through meditation. And what they were doing was a form of remote viewing that's called bilocation or out-of-body travel, where you feel like you're actually standing in a different place or standing in a different dimension, like a whole vision. Originally, they developed it and they built technology all around it to try and amplify human consciousness to spy on the Russians. And that's where you get the stories of MK Ultra and the Montauk Project and the Stanford Research Institute studies trying to spy on the Russians using telepathy and remote viewing and all that. All comes out of that program. The whole basis of the story Stranger Things on Netflix is based off of this. Of them like tapping into human consciousness and trying to amplify it and then creating a rift in dimensional reality that interfaces with the kids playing Dungeons and Dragons and then creates the upside down, this alternate dimension that bleeds through, kind of like Skinwalker Ranch. It's interesting stuff.
Be careful out there.
Right.
Careful. Before you get out of here, this was something that, and we talked about this earlier, but I just want to put it out there because I want you to publicly address it, so that way better and more questions come at you, because I think the more questions that you can answer with the calm demeanor that you do, the better. And it just it's good for everybody. So one of the we get a comment like this from Eventide. He says, no, there's just a crap load of homes, roads, and businesses above the ridge. It's far from remote. A car turning into one of these housing developments could project light this way. And then I also wanted to just bring up
and they do. I'll just say this really quick. And they do. And I've parked my truck, turned my high beam Baja lights on right onto the Mesa, and I've synthetically created my own headlights and parked in these spots, pointed my headlights at it, hiked up, and tried to replicate it exactly like this, and it's just not the same.
And remote is subjective too, a little bit. It's not.
It's not though. People hike by this spot. The only reason I haven't done other screenshots and shown it like this, I don't want a bunch of people crawling around Native American land, stealing pottery and violating the wheels and trespassing onto private land. So I've been keeping it a secret as a request from the property owners. But you could walk up to Skinwalker Ranch and point lights at it and fire rockets and fly balloons over and drones over too. There's no fences really there keeping you from doing that. Same with here. It's not like some secret hole out in the middle of nowhere. It's a spot where people have seen it and been watching it for over 10 years and can't explain it. So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've parked right there and shown my headlights right on the mesa, gone up there and looked at it, and then you can still even see the phenomena appear underneath the headlights or in separate from it. It's just not the same. It's not at all.
Right.
Go there, if you know where the spot is, homie, go there and do it yourself.
Yeah.
Debunk it yourself. I don't.
Right. Yeah.
Go there and do it yourself.
Well,
I'm park your car there, shine it, go walk up there to the ridge, and watch. It's not the same. Not the same.
Not. Well, I also have a hard time. Like, if this is headlights coming onto a mesa, then I feel like they would have a smooth movement to them. Like, if you've ever seen, like, I live out here in Hollywood, California, and if you look west toward the ocean, there's mountains and there's people that live there, and for a good 5 minutes on a night, you could see really, really intense bright lights on the mountains, and then they disappear. And then it's intense again, and then it disappears. And it's like, and then when you look at it through binoculars, you can actually see the lights moving, and they're cars. And so with this, I feel like it would be almost like a rhythmic thing, because a car is mechanical, it moves. Yeah. So if a car turns left, the lights are going to turn left. None of these things are moving like that.
No,
like it's almost like a light show.
The truth is, you can't see the headlights, because you can stand on the ridge, and even where that photo was taken, and you can see where the road is, where the cars drive, and where the other ones would be pulling in, where that road is, and you can watch them drive and go up and down that road both directions and make turns in the distance, like a mile and a half away or whatever, and you can look right at the mesa and see nothing. And you watch it and watch it, and then
did you do that experiment? I know, because I'm wondering, you shine a light, but did you shine those lights and also look at it through the infrared, so you can get both sort of
with my headlights?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all filmed with the same camera,
right?
Same night vision camera. Yeah,
right.
And we can watch that if you want. I mean, I have that video, but. Yeah, or they can go to my channel and check it out, because I go back with my own truck and my headlights, turn my headlights on, flip my Baja lights on, get in and out of the car with one take. I'm not even turning the camera off. And while my headlights are pointed at the mesa, within 100 yards of it, you see a triangle appear and then a square. And then I turn my headlights off, and it's completely different. I mean, completely. I've grown up camping and out in the woods. Like, I know when you pull up or you see somebody coming up to the campsite and you see headlights, and it creates shadow puppets and cast lights on the wall. I know that. I know the difference. This is not. And also, this is not
also that. Like, I just want to also cover people by saying that Carl has a Ford Raptor with some pretty powerful lights. Like, this is not just like a Honda Accord with some Baja lights on it. Like, this is a full blown truck. So, dude, I mean, we got to move on, because we got so much other stuff to cover. I hate to kick you out of here, but we got to bring you back. Yeah. Like, we got to bring you back, and we got to talk that, especially as more discoveries and more sort of
and can you come to Big Bend? I'm such an idiot, guys. There's petroglyphs. There's petroglyphs, in Big Bend here in Texas, like not far from the Marfa lights. Like, oh my, you're so inspiring. Like, I'm like, I want to go.
Now she's
fly out there. We'll go run around.
We just lost.
So fun.
Just lost.
They're not as good. They're not as good though. We're not as good as the Utah one, so you can't really.
Cool.
But like maybe I
buy
could
a Ford Raptor and
come check out the Mesa. You guys can all come check out the Mesa. That's what you should do. Is the three of you guys come see it for yourself. Even the guy who took the picture of the parking lot can come too. Yeah. And we'll go down there when there's no moon, and then I'll say go walk up there, and you tell me what it is.
Yeah.
And we'll see. I'll bring my radiation detector.
See who has the guts to go walk up there.
Okay, so just because I just want to make sure we answer this gentleman's question. But do you have any plans for geomagnetic or gravitic measurements at the Mesa?
Yeah, okay. So I have a whole group of people coming back. I have my radiation sensor going back and the gravitics thing. So I have Jim Segala, James Keenan, Michelle Miners, Paul Hynek, several, Chris Bartel, a whole team of
We
experienced
didn't even
people.
get into the Chris Bartel
Chris
part of
Bartel's
this because
coming.
I'm sure Chris Bartel is a huge. It's not I say huge, but he's a great person to lean on when it comes to this part of the world or Utah specifically, because he is a Native American historian. That's what he grew up doing, and then he spent his time on Skinwalker Ranch and documenting all of that for the several years that he was on the ranch. So he's a wonderful resource to lean on. So yeah, we gotta get you and Chris to come back, and once we've established some more things, maybe we can get a really cool conversation with the three of us, or five of us, it would be, I guess. But that would be fun. And then going out to Utah. I mean, I've been meaning to go out there anyway. Especially since my dad lives out there. We've got the invite for Brandon.
What?
So
Yeah.
My dad lives out there. It's wild. He lives in Heber.
Gotta go.
Heber,
And so we've got a place to stay. Both, I think I'm just gonna put it out there. I think we can stay at Carl's house.
You can stay at my house. Come crash my place.
We can stay at my pop's house if we wanted to, and then we've got Brandon Fugels. I don't know if we can stay at his house, but
I want to.
I've got places up in Vernal.
Can we at least get a tour of his house? I'll take a tour.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be a house; it would be like a bat cave of some kind.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
But dude, this was awesome, man. I'm so happy that you were able to come on and talk to us, because this was a really cool conversation. And to me, this is some of the most fascinating stuff that's come out this year.
Yes.
I mean, it really, really is. And the symposium, it was all about the balloon launch. It was all about the DHS video, and turned out your presentation was the coolest thing to come out of all
100%.
of that.
I agree.
100%. It is very, very cool. And I was super giddy. Once I hung up, you and I had a private conversation, because I was like, man, is Carl going off the deep end? I got to check on him. And I also want to question him, because my fear is that the people around you aren't putting the questions to you like they should. And I wanted to ask you those questions, before you came on the show or we started talking about this. And you assured me, people have already asked me that, Lou.
I flat out had somebody that I consider a very close friend of mine who will not talk to me and labels me as a hoaxer now.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really hoax that. Like, I don't see how you can make that up. It might be prosaic.
Coming
right?
from
you,
Rather.
that
actually means a lot coming from you, Rather.
I can't believe that anybody would give you any SHIT for this.
Well, they do. It's totally fine. And
I mean, the questions are okay.
Honestly, there's something that has changed in me, because I know better, and I've seen it for myself, to where when people are like that photo that he showed of the building, he's like, no, there's just houses and this. To me, I'm like, oh no, like I know, like, because I'm standing there having the same questions, and I've been turning my head around trying to find the answers to those same questions. And so it's just a matter of like, I understand, like, so I'm like, you have one of two options. You can either complain and be like, your camera quality sucks, or you're not getting the proper angles. And we're like, okay, or you can like help me get better equipment, or you can come see for yourself and bring your camera,
or offer explanations or something. Go try to figure out.
Well, but this is
it's a mystery. Let's figure it out.
Even if it's not alien, even if you found something prosaic, like no matter what, like I haven't seen videos like this. Like if you find out anything about our reality that we didn't know before, that's incredible. And people need to remember that in ufology. If we never find that out, the aliens are real, we're gonna find out a ton of stuff. We're gonna find out some truths. We're gonna progress science and humanity if we are, truthful in our truth seeking. And everybody should be patting you on the back. I think you did such good work here. You're already ahead of like the explanations and trying to debunk your own theories, which is exactly how you should go about it. And really, there should be a History Channel show in your future, is how I feel.
Well, that could be coming. I have
or you could maybe be a guest spot on Ancient Aliens, and give a
something.
Sukalos a tour of Magic Mountain, right? Yeah.
What I thought would be great also is sort of the initiative that Chris Lato is doing with the NFT, and that's the whole point of this NFT initiative, is to fund things like this. So, and I know you're part of that, the UAP Society, as am I. And again, we've said on this show, and we'll always tell you, hey, if you're going to invest in something, do your research, make sure this is something you want to invest in with your own hard-earned money. But if you can do it, great. And I think it opens a door for down the road to invest in, like, clearly Carl needs more cameras. He needs more infrared. He needs magnetometers. He needs so many other things that I'm sure are just not sitting in your garage. So I'm excited for you, man.
Thanks.
I'm excited for you. Like, when I first called you, I was like, oh man, it was more of like a wellness check. Like, is Carl going crazy? I have to know because you're my friend. And when you start saying stuff like this, I'm like, oh man, like, it makes me nervous because I don't want to see you, my friend, get dragged through the coals of this community as they do when they hear and see stuff. But I haven't felt a huge backlash on this. No one's calling. I haven't felt like it didn't get the backlash that the DHS video got. It didn't get the backlash that some of these other things are getting.
It's just kind of weird
because
enough.
You did the work. Because you did the legwork.
Right.
Like,
there's a lot of work.
You did the research. You did the work. You're not going into it with some crazy sensational headline like alien. This is for sure evidence of alien visitation. I think maybe you don't. Maybe your gut is saying it's not prosaic, but you sound completely open to those explanations. And I think that's why it's your presentation. It's your approach. You're very trustworthy. You're not getting defensive. People asking questions. You're not like, if somebody has a mundane explanation, you're not like, oh, you're an idiot. Like, oh, well, I looked into that, or maybe I'll. So I think that is a lot of it. It's your whole attitude and your approach makes you very trustworthy. And of course, I know you from, I've talked to you before, so I just think you're a cool guy doing cool stuff.
Well, I think the thing that speaks for me is how excited you get when you're like,
it's a little embarrassing.
I'm getting excited.
No, but you're just like, come with me, bring your camera. Like, I want you to. And so that excites me when people are like, yeah, come on, let's go. So dude, I wish you all the luck. I wish I could keep you around longer today, but we've got so much. We've got about 45 minutes left in the show, and there's still so much stuff we got to cram in. So I gotta get you out of here. But Carl,
you bet.
All the luck, all my love, dude. I'm excited for you. I can't wait to see what comes of this because I think it's gonna be exciting.
When I get more, I'll come back. I'll share.
Yeah, and I've got Carl's.
I don't want to hide it. Yeah.
I've got Carl's link in the description below. I also linked his video in the live chat, and I'll also, after the show, I'll link that video so you guys could go watch his full presentation on this and then watch the follow-up videos he did to sort of confirm everything he just said today. So yeah, dude, excited for you. And before you get out of here, please tell everyone where they can find your work. I mean, you've got 3.2 million followers, so it's like I don't. This is like small potatoes for you, but please tell everyone where they can find your stuff.
No, this is awesome. Yeah, just Carl the Crusher on YouTube. I have that handle just because I don't use my real name online. And Carl Vibes, my podcast. That's where you can find me if you go do that. I have a new website up, carlcrusher.com. Anywhere. So yeah, if you want to support it, go ahead and support it. Check out the Patreon if you want to help provide fuel money or equipment stuff. But if you're not intrigued by it, I don't want your money. I don't want your complaints. I don't want a bunch of bickering. I just want to focus on what the job I'm trying to do here and get answers just like everybody else. So
somebody very early in the conversation just put something along the lines of like, screw it, I'll give Carl all my money. But yeah, if you want to help Carl, please go check him out. Carl, thank you so much, man, for hanging out, stopping by and walking us through this really cool discovery you made.
Thanks.
And congratulations, man. Really good. Like, hats off to some really good work. I'm excited to see what the results bring to us because I think it's very interesting. But yeah, man,
plan a trip so you guys come see it for yourself.
I think we're at this point, it's almost a must, right? Like, we're gonna have to. All right, my man. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Bye.
All right, you guys. That was Carl Crusher. That was
Crushed it.
Like, and for again, and for Rather, of all people on this panel, for Rather to be like, yeah, that was hands down the coolest thing I've seen this year, right? Like, as far as footage or something prosaic that is truly like, whoa.
Yeah,
What
it's
is
definitely.
that?
I mean, there's no obvious explanation. It is a maybe it is some weird confluence of lights reflecting off of multiple things and projecting it, but yeah, I mean, there's no obvious explanation. It's hard to figure out.
Well, I mean, when I tell you, I grilled the hell out of Carl before I talked about this, before I wanted him on the show. I grilled him so hard. And one of the things I asked him was, well, have you, and I'm not sure, I meant to ask him this when he was here, but one of the questions I asked him was, have you gone to local universities in Utah and spoken to any archaeologists there? Maybe they have an idea. Maybe there is something that's just not Googleable, and that they're still sort of researching that maybe can help you in answering as to what we're looking at. And I don't think he had an opportunity to go to universities yet, but yeah, it's on his list of things to do, right? And I mean, he's only been out there 3 times, and he's tried to pack as much data gathering evidence as he can, being who he is. He's just one person, and he's excited about it, and I'm excited for him.
Yeah, me too. I'm anxious to see what results of it. It's going to be an interesting story.
I mean, when I tell you I grilled him and I walked away going, I don't think he's lying.
Oh, he's not.
I don't think there's any doubt that
or trying to do a hoax or I feel like some people who get into this, sometimes they're like given footage or they're given something and they get super excited about it and they pump it up and they talk about it and then they put it out there and then the internet destroys it in 30 seconds. Whereas he puts it out there, and I don't see a lot of people destroying him on this. Like, I don't see a huge backlash because, like you said, Jane, he's done the research. He's done the legwork. The video evidence is there. There's 2 other independent witnesses outside of him, one of whom you can hear on this video, and how excited they are. Like, go watch the video, and I got to tell you, it's a really cool presentation. And yeah, I think it's definitely one of the most underrated stories in the UFO community this year. But I guess it's not because it's not a UFO. It's just something very
weird phenomenon.
But
it's weird, unexplained phenomenon.
Yeah, it's a weird, unexplained. Would you say it's paranormal?
I suppose anything unexplained, it's paranormal, right? So like everything is strange, right, until you explain it. So that's what I want to remind people. Do not be afraid of your bubbles bursting. Do not be afraid of cases being solved. Do not be afraid of finding things out. If Carl eventually talks to some geologist or meteorologist and they're like, oh, it's this phenomenon, we have all learned something as a community. And the next time anybody captures any of this on the infrared, we have that to go back to. And then we can know, okay, let's rule that out. This is actual science, I believe, that Carl Vibe is doing. And I applaud him for it. And every scientist, every experimenter is going to have their own hypothesis, theories going into it. And that's what we're here for. I like what you're saying, Lou, like, as like a friend, you don't want to see him like fall off.
I just didn't want to see him. I just didn't want to see him put up on a cross for everybody to judge, because he's my friend. And I also didn't want to be, part of me was also like, man, like Carl was a big part of the show at the beginning and he's been on here many times. And I, part of me was just like, damn, what?
But that's good.
How do we go from here to here? That's a good thing. And I agree with you. Like we
should keep each other honest. That's how, because that's the truth. And I hope that you guys always do that for me. Like, rather, don't ever stop asking the questions. We're all going to be concerned though when you stop asking questions. So don't stop. If I start going off the deep end and I'm like, the Greys have abducted me, like don't cancel me, guys. Like, don't not be my friend. But I want you to ask those questions. Like, I want you to keep me in check, because that would mean that you would care about me as a person.
Right. No, and
I
really
think that's
what it was
important,
about.
that we keep asking questions. And but yeah, that was an awesome interview.
We're all just trying to figure things out, right?
Yeah, I just can't wait till he gets more data. Like, I'm so excited to see what comes out of this. And when you say, I see a History Channel show or something like that in your future, I also see that as well. Like, if this is something genuine, something
it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, or a bigger network, Carl.
Yeah, or bigger. Yeah. Let's aim high, right? But like,
Netflix.
but like the idea of like if a production team went out there and they got that on film, he would have a show tomorrow, like, so I don't think the secret's going to be, it's out of the bag. Like, I think we got to be patient. Again, he only saw this on April 30th. This was a month ago, a little over a month ago. So there's and this is the data that we've gotten in just a month. So I cannot imagine in a year from now what we're going to be talking about this Mesa and how it maybe connects to Skinwalker or the Uintah Basin or whatever other discoveries maybe we make. I mean, I know we've talked about radiation leftovers out there from nuclear testing and things like that. I'm not a scientist. Who knows? Maybe that has something to do with this. Or like he was saying, compressed crystals underground where two tectonic plates are pressuring these crystals. And maybe that's what's causing this illusion or whatever we're seeing. But I love the idea that Carl's open to, it could be any of those things, and if that's what it turns out to be, awesome. Now we have an answer to it. So
worst case scenario, we figure out something new, right?
Exactly. Laura Campbell says, did Lou have coffee? No, Lou definitely did not have coffee. But Lou is sick. So if I look absolutely,
it's kind of a compliment though, of like, if they think you're like have a lot of energy. I don't know, is that what the coffee comment means?
Maybe the Dayquil's acting in.
Okay, so guys, we've got about 40 minutes left, and we still got UFO video of the day, and we got two big things to talk about. I guess we'll go with importance first. And I think that was probably the trademarking of the term UAP by a company called Saucer Co. And Saucer Co.
I had vodka in this orange juice, and I think part of it is because I knew this was going to come up, and it's so
Okay, so there's a lot to this, and I don't even think we're going to be able to cover it all. I mean, we could dedicate a whole show to just this. But the thing that I think rubbed people the wrong way big time with this is that they kind of, I don't want to say infiltrated, but they definitely came to the community, made friends with certain people, collaborated with certain people, and then not even released or made a statement. They trademarked UAP and a couple of other terms. I think John Greenwald had found they also trademarked the term sport model, and a couple of other things. So, the way people found out about this was Dan Zetterstrom. Danny, like
the signal.
If you're pissing off, or if you got under the skin of Dan Zetterstrom, then you need to look in the mirror, because you're probably doing something really messed up. Okay. And the other person that chimed in as soon as this, because Dan got an email essentially from this company saying, we've put a strike on your art and you're no longer allowed to sell it because it's got the term UAP in it. And he found out through an email from the turns or the dropping company he uses. He got an email saying this violates trick, and you have to take your art down.
Hey,
and that's
Lou. Rather, are you getting Lou, or is that just me?
You're cutting out there a little bit, Lou. Yeah,
I thought maybe it was my internet. We missed what you said. A lot of what you said, which I'm sure was really good.
Sorry about that. Okay, so can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, you better.
Yeah, you're better now.
Sorry, my internet is absolutely friends. So basically he got a letter.
Of course, as soon as you start talking, say what you were saying.
Maybe come out and back in. I don't know. That seems. I don't know. What do you normally do?
No, normally I do come out and come back in. Let me try that. I'll be right back.
Okay.
But essentially, Dan got a takedown notice from his stuff saying that he can't sell his UAP anything with a UAP on it with apparel, which is ridiculous, right?
This is out of the blue. I am so surprised by this. It hurts my heart, like deeply in my heart, because I want to say, Saucer Co., that family, as I understood it, that was a mom and pop, super independent, super hardworking. We're at every single event on those booths. I I wouldn't be surprised if they really weren't profiting for many years. They gave me a lot of free stuff. I would always have enjoyed talking to them and Instagram DMing, and they've always been so supportive. So this is so weird. This is so weird. I'm like, who consulted them? I am having to think that somebody consulted them and gave them the advice to do this or something. Because it's so, and that makes me a little nervous because I'm not going to say a name, and I know somebody who's worked with them a lot, and I think you guys all know too, who I said very nice things about in past shows. And now I'm like, who put you up to this? Because this is bad. This is just BAD. There's no way around it. This is not like other drama we've talked about, I feel like, on streams, where there's nuance to it, or there's different interpretations, or just people, just being people. This is just a calculated, strategic, mean thing to do. And so I'm having trouble believing that they are intending that. And I would love clarification. I would love a statement from them. I would love them to respond to this and explain what their thinking was. Is there somebody they hired that's sending out these emails and they don't know it? Like, I want to hear some more.
Well, them. they did put out a statement. Rather, if you could pull that up, just because my internet's absolute trash right now. And if you could read it for us, that'd be great. But I did have, so I don't know how much you guys heard of what I was talking about, but essentially Zignal got an email from Redbubble saying that all of his art's being taken down that has the term UAP in it. And then Ryan Sprague also got an email from his drop shipping company saying that some of his merchandise is being taken down because of the same thing. And then that's when the internet just absolutely blew up about this, and
rightfully, for a change.
What's hilarious, it's not hilarious, but what is interesting is everyone was on the same side for this.
Finally,
he did. Somebody made an actually pretty funny comment. Like, if I knew this was going to unite the UFO community, I would have trademarked it 10 years ago.
Right.
But like, yeah, here's the statement they put out. Go for it, rather.
It says, we are not suing anyone. We are not asking for any monetary compensation from any UAP or unidentified aerial phenomenon t-shirts on drop shipping websites. And there was a caveat, yeah, that's true, but they're taking it down from those websites, preventing them from selling it. And so they go on to say, our legal team recently reached out to several drop shipping companies and made them aware of our various registered trademarks, since counterfeit saucer products have emerged in recent months. Our registered trademarks, UAP and unidentified aerial phenomenon, are registered solely for apparel. Saucer is a apparel company. Since we started, we've focused on apparel and have met many great people as a result. We understand the frustrations of those who have been affected. However, we are not looking to sue or take anyone to court. As an apparel company focused on UFO-inspired products, obtaining registrations for UAP and unidentified aerial phenomenon was an idea we initiated years ago. According to various drop shipping platforms, several uses on the terms and apparel are considered infringements on our registered trademarks. Once the drop shipping platforms were made aware of our trademarks, they acted accordingly. Our registered trademarks for UAP and unidentified aerial phenomenon do not extend past apparel. As a company, we are legally obligated to enforce our registered trademark.
I'm so mad. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm getting heated as you're reading this, because this is such a I'm sorry, SHITTY statement, and I expected more from these people that I've interacted with in person, and sorry, keep going, rather.
Yeah, it goes on to say, at the end of the day, Saucer is an apparel company founded by 3 young entrepreneurs with a passion for the UFO mystery. We're not looking to upset anyone or destroy anyone's work. We're all inspired by the same mystery. We've just decided to show our enthusiasm through apparel and have built a successful company around that. We apologize to those who have been upset about their t-shirt listings being taken down from drop shipping platforms. Which, I mean, that would all make totally sense if they were trademarking Saucer Co. or any term that is like associated with that company. Right. UFO or UAP and unidentified aerial phenomenon. No one associates that with Saucer Co. That's
a jerk. This is just a jerk move, and it's really hard for me to believe that they thought of this. And it's a little bit darker to think of who could have put them up to this and made them feel righteous in doing this. Because I feel like somebody put them up to this, and I have no evidence whatsoever of that.
Well, I can't believe that they got the trademark granted. That they didn't. It's like trying to trademark cell phone or something, right? Like,
it's absurd. I get that you might have a company name and you got to do the trademark, like I'm UFO Jane, right? Like I get that. I understand that maybe they had to but everything else doesn't make sense. So
And
I
that
don't
statement doesn't address the criticism at all. It doesn't address
At all.
anything.
No,
no,
not
it
at all.
doesn't. It's
Well,
a cop out.
I attended a Twitter Spaces yesterday with Dave, who's one of the owners of the company, and he just kept kind of repeating what that statement said. And then there was also somebody else in there who was a trademark specialist, or she deals specifically with these kinds of things. And this is gonna suck to hear, but legally it's either a brilliant business move or incredibly shrill.
Both.
I think it could be both, and that's my point.
This is mean. This is mean to do.
The reason why this hits so negatively is because, and I asked him this, I was like, this was one of my questions. Do you wish, looking back now in retrospect, that you guys had done this a little differently? Maybe given the heads up to Spray, given the heads up to Signal, hey guys, by the way, we're trademarking this. You may want to find different ways, have the difficult conversation with them privately before they get an email saying all your stuff's been taken down. And the response to that was, well, who does that in business? And they're right. Like when you go to patent, the light bulb, you're not going to run it by your competitors and say, hey guys, I'm doing a patent on this. Just want to let you, give you the heads up. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. So from that aspect, I kind of understand, but that's not what happened here. These guys infiltrated the community, collaborated with the community, and then backstabbed the community. Yes, period. Full stop. Like it's a dick move. It is absolutely a dick move. It's amateur. And I would say I can't call it amateur because it's a good business move. Well, but I don't think it's
going to work out for them as a good business move.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think it is. I don't think it has worked out.
Yeah, Gary Nolan has offered, $50,000 to kind of collectively fight this. So, doing the trademark's one thing, but you have to defend that trademark, and that costs money.
Correct.
And I don't know if they're going to be selling enough T-shirts to pay those lawyers.
That's what I said on Twitter today. They've got enough money for a legal team to write that statement for them. They've got enough money for a legal team to make sure that stuff gets taken down from the internet. I guarantee you, Saucer Code does not have enough money to make a legal team go over multiple suits, which I have a feeling they're going to get, even if they only get 2. To have a legal team, which I'm assuming is at the very least 2 to 3 lawyers. I know here in California, to get a lawyer on retainer is $10,000 just to get them on retainer. Okay, you got to give them $10,000 up front. I think this is going to jam up their legal team with so many headaches.
And it should. And
those costs are going to pile up way more than whatever their income is. And I think you're right. I think it's going to bury the company. They're going to go.
It absolutely should. This is a horrible move. This is so disappointing. I was waiting for some explanation, some clarification, because I really did find it so hard to believe that they would intentionally do this. That apology is so disappointing. Yeah. It's just so disappointing. It's so out of touch. It's so
can I read a
intellectually dishonest?
I want to read a statement from Ryan Sprague. And he says, as someone who is directly affected by the entire trademark issue, I just want people to know that I have personally met David of Saucer Co. and his family. Deep down, they are extremely nice family. And despite this business deal that clearly needs more conversation, I just ask that people refrain from trolling David and his business partners. As a young business owner who does indeed have a legitimate passion for the topic, I spent hours talking to him about UFOs, and his knowledge is vast. This is clearly the first major issue that he has found himself in. He is learning, and he has also been receptive to those who took issue with the trademark debacle. I completely understand people's frustration and anger. I'm angry too, but at the end of the day, what's done is done. People can hate Saucer Co. They can stop buying their apparel, but I simply ask that people not attack him personally or his family. Negotiations are being worked out as we speak with legal teams, and SaucerCo will open up free licensing to any and everyone in the UFO world who wishes to use the acronyms and terms they have trademarked. This is an ongoing conversation and may take time. Please be patient, and please know that our community has fractured enough. I have always been about building bridges instead of burning them. Just know we're working on our end as independent creators, and we hope that the community will support us and also understand that this is a huge learning process for SaucerCo as well. Be kind, rewind, and always keep looking up.
Who is that?
Ryan
Who said
Sprague.
that? Okay,
Ryan
well, that's
Sprague.
pretty
And-
nice of you, Ryan.
Yeah.
What's done is done. You
nice
couldn't
guy.
tell your shirt's
And-
got taken down, right? Like that's
Well,
so
I mean,
personal
everybody
to take
knows that-
somebody's merch down.
Yeah, well, everybody knows Ryan's a sweetheart, right? And
Yeah,
this is
clearly.
classic Ryan Sprague. Just, I think what he's saying is partly right, because I don't know anything about SaucerCo up until yesterday. I know it's 3 people,
I'm
I
shocked
don't know
by
who's
this,
involved.
based on how I know.
and just
Yeah.
based off of your reactions, Jane, you normally don't react to things.
No,
like
this is hurtful. These are
Right.
people that are like from old school, like way before, like no
UFO
offense,
Twitter,
like UCR and Big Phone. Like these are like
Yeah.
old school UFO people who didn't used to have a big following and just kept doing and kept selling. Were so supportive and so nice, and I got along with them. And so yeah, it is. I appreciate hearing Ryan's perspective. Like that's super mature of him. It sounds like he had a conversation with them after things and got some of that clarification I was hoping for. So I am all for them reverse course on this and people able to sell merch with UAP on it. But I'm a little confused about that apology because it doesn't seem like there's room for that. So I'm still confused.
And even if they're giving people licenses to do that, use UAP on their apparel, I think that's BS too. Like we shouldn't have to go through SaucerCo to put UAP on a thing. And I think that, accepting that license might even be kind of, I don't want to, do whatever you want, right? Like if, that allows you to sell it, that's fine. But I don't think that that's the right way to go is to accept a license. I think you should just,
But Disney
fight it. But that's easier said than done because
Disney doesn't even take down every shirt that has everybody that's trying to profit off of Disney. And I know that because I work for corporations and Disney's looks at everything. It doesn't take down everything. Is my point. So it's like it's one thing to trademark thing. It's another thing to like greenlight your lawyers to take down apparel that in your heart of hearts has nothing to do with you. That is a whole other level. And absolutely.
In some cases, they're your friend.
Yeah, that's why this hurts. This is not
Ryan Sprague and this guy, they're friends.
That's why it hurts. Yeah.
You and this company, you guys were friends.
I've posted so much. I have I think I have a Saucer shirt on my YouTube channel. I don't know if I still do it. I used to link to them in my about section. Like I love their apparel, by the way. Love it.
I was gonna say,
loved it.
Other than yesterday, I knew of them.
Oh, I love
and I looked at their merch, and when I saw their merch,
wonderful.
I'm like, man,
yeah.
I'm like, that's what I want my merch to look like because it's really good.
It's stylish. It's subtle. It's not like overly aggressive alien. That's kind of what I prefer. So I have always been like a huge fan. I'm still a fan of their apparel. And again, that's why I'm so passionate about this. Is because these are not people I don't know. I almost thought about reaching out to them. I almost thought about tweeting about it. But I figured the community, like Riot, for example, would shake out. And so I'm hoping that they can make this right because
I think we should all go back to using UFO. I like UFO better anyway.
I like UFO better anyway too. But what's hilarious is, man, if you want to see just hilarity, go to Jeremy McGowan's Twitter handle and go see what he did. He made a drop shipping store with one shirt on it. God, it's so funny. I can't remember what it says, and I'm sorry I can't pull it up, but he made like 30 or 40 different items with UAP on it and a saucer beaming, like just straight up, like, and then wrote at the end of it, I look forward to your legal team taking this down and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, that's perfect. That's exactly what this needs is 30 more Jeremy McGowans saying, no, this is bullshit. We're going to make a store. We're going to use the word UAP and we're going to fight it.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Did
fight
you
it.
guys buy that shirt?
Look in the
Glurp
mirror.
was designing a shirt.
Nice.
the other
Nice.
day.
That's excellent. Like, yeah, they're gonna be.
we almost
there's-
dropped a shirt.
Here's
We
the
have
thing
same
with the
idea.
internet, man. If you're gonna try and limit us, we're gonna come up with really clever ways to get around your trademark. And whether you like it or not, that term is gonna be snuck into a lot of designs. And really, all I'm like, I got to go into my drop shipment sort of thing and see, because I know we have a shirt called the Sport Model, so I haven't checked if that's been taken down, but I haven't gotten any emails on any trademark violations either.
Well, and why is there defense about that? Everybody should be able to make a shirt that says UAP on it. Stop telling me that it's only for apparel. We're like, come on, guys.
That was their thing.
This is absurd. This is absurd.
They kept going back to it's an
official government term that we're supposed to use instead of UFOs. We're coming into disclosure. This is not a term that they invented. This is not UFO Jane. This is not Saucer Co. Like this is a noun or whatever that was invented before they came on the scene that was being used. It's like a public domain news term at this point, and they went in and they apparently swooped in when maybe there wasn't a lot of attention on this term. Trademark lawyers don't understand, aren't looking into things, is my guess, and they got that trademark when this term was a little bit more obscure, and now it's being exploited. And they
also trademark UAPTF, the task force, as well, which is damn, how did they even get these?
What can somebody please? Can we get a trademark lawyer?
Well, that's in the Twitter. Well, here's the thing: a trademark lawyer will straight up look you in the face and go, "Yeah, it's all legal." If they got the trademark, they submitted for it, they paid for it, they got it approved. It's legal. They were thinking ahead of everyone else, and it's
legal, but that doesn't mean
it's right.
Well, and it also doesn't mean that if they sued anyone that they would win. I think that it's almost clear that they would lose, and they're just bullying people with their lawyers and their money.
100% true. But it's also incumbent upon artists who are making things to make sure that if you are going to make something that is unique to your style or your whatever, you should look into trademarking your stuff. So that way you don't run into problems like this. And not everybody has enough money to trademark things. Like, I think that's really what it is. It's just the people that are being affected by this are artists. They're just trying to essentially sell their wares, and it's wares in a community where everybody's trying to help out each other, and then you get these three guys who come in with this facade. I haven't met these guys, but it almost seems like there were a Trojan horse in a way. They came into the community, they figured out what terms are popping or what they could trademark. And by the way, they filed this trademark 3 years ago. This is not something they filed this year. They filed it 3 years ago.
When was Storm Area 51?
And that's and it wasn't until yesterday when everybody found out about it. Yeah. So it's the way they did it. It's what they did to the community. And I think, like you said earlier, rather, this is going to end Saucer Co. They're not going to be. They're not. I don't think they're going to survive.
Have to sell a lot of shirts to pay the lawyers.
I was just saying, when they were filing this trademark, that's one of the last times I hung out with them was at Area 51, and I had been to events previous, and I get none of those vibes from them that they are these strategic, greedy business people. I don't think that's who they are, and so I'm just
that's what Ryan's saying.
Up to the I think maybe somebody gave them advice and they took it, and I'm hoping that they can kind of realize maybe that wasn't good advice and reverse course. And maybe they'll have to rebrand or something. I wonder who their main customers are, if it's the broader just universe, and if it's not UFO Twitter, right? And if they can sustain that way. But I know that their following has just quadrupled whatever, since those early days. So they have a lot more going on. They rose fast, I guess, is what I'm getting at. And so there are learning lessons, that happen along the way.
Emmett from the UFO Bros was there in this chat yesterday, and his point of view and he was like, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he was like, look, from their point of view, they have been setting up this infrastructure for this business for years. And when you're running a business, especially a business that you're trying to make sure it is successful, there are certain protections that you have to put in place. And I think this is one of the protections that they thought they were protecting themselves with, or even getting ahead of it. Because let's say UAP ends up being a term as popular as Pepsi or Coca-Cola. If this trademark holds, which I don't think it does, but let's say it does, it's a brilliant business move. Brilliant. And no one's going to look back and blame it. Like, people are going to look at that and say, yeah, they saw the future. They trademarked things and they got ahead of the curve before the rush came.
Yeah, I don't think that's true, though, because if it does get that popular and everyone's saying it, then I think that makes their trademark less valuable, because it's going to be popular not because of Saucer Co.
Well, okay,
it's going to be, it's going to be, okay, so everyone knows about the term.
There's an example they used yesterday. Okay, the entertainment attorney or trademark attorney was like, remember when Paris Hilton was a really big thing, and she was saying this term, that's hot, that's so hot. Remember that? Like early 2000s.
I do remember that. Yeah,
when she was on TV and she was really popular. She was doing the Paris Hilton show. Blah 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 blah. Well, there was a group of people who started making T-shirts.
Right.
That's so hot. And what did she do? She came in with a team of attorneys and kiboshed all of it and then trademarked it. And now you can't put "that's so hot" on a T-shirt or any kind of apparel anywhere, or you're going to get sued. And that's what they were essentially comparing this to. And from a business perspective, I see how that makes sense. But the difference here is Paris Hilton wasn't friends with those people making the T-shirts, encouraging them to make it.
Well, and they were making money off of Paris Hilton.
And then turning around and suing them.
But Paris Hilton popularized that phrase.
Yeah.
She kind of, they didn't popularize UAP. I didn't know who the hell Saucer
Hillary
Co
Clinton popularized it. Popularized.
Yeah, I think that the
literally
argument is it's been around since the 40s.
She was literally, but she literally practiced saying UAP. There's whole WikiLeaks emails. She's like, I said UAP on the Tonight Show. So a lot of people were planning to use this term and exploit this term. It wasn't just Saucer Co. To be clear, I don't know if I don't know if they're listening to the stream. I really liked hanging out with you guys. I really love your apparel. I would hate to see your awesome business that you've been working so hard at for so long. You've been making amazing content too, in addition to it. And we were all rooting for you. Like we were all like on the same team. We only like want you to be successful. And so I just hope that you just take a step back, maybe take a step back from the business perspective for a minute and just think about the community, that made you and make another statement. I don't think that was
I think at this point, it doesn't matter what kind of
or not a statement.
It almost
change in decision and stop with taking merch down because it has UAP on it.
Well, I think even at this point, if they even granted those people to put their merch back up and then wrote a statement saying, hey, we apologize, this was a bad move, I think the damage has been done.
Yeah.
I don't think, at least from this community going forward, no one's going to be buying their merch from this community. That's
I had coffee cups. I don't know if we listed them, but it's like, stop talking about UFOs. And I remember I had a version, stop talking about UFOs. Let's talk about UAP. We've had lots of merchant ideas that have involved UAP.
Yep.
Here, and to think that like we wouldn't potentially be able to make money one day off of any of those ideas. Yeah, it's very hurtful that somebody I know like went to the events with, I thought we were all like kind of on the same team, is the reason for that. And it's not some stranger like
right. This people.
It really is so much more affecting.
And I think that's the whole bottom line here, because we got to move on. We've only got less than 10 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
We haven't even gotten a UFO video today.
Almost an hour.
Yeah, it's insane. But yeah, I mean, like I said, we could dedicate a whole show to just this. Yeah. And maybe we'll get Ryan Sprague. And who knows, maybe we could get Dave on and sort of grill him about it.
Cool, Ryan. I appreciate Ryan being so mature about it. And because I didn't even get anything taken down.
Well, what's funny, and this is what I love about Ryan. Ryan's emotional. He's an emotional person. So when it first came out, he was pissed. And he made it very publicly known.
Like me right now.
And then I think he talked to them and then came down and sort of backed off of it. And then now he's got his own legal team because, like you said, rather, somebody pointed out in the comments that Gary Nolan has put some money toward an effort to make sure this BS goes away. And yeah, I think that's an awesome thing. Thank you, Gary. Yeah, I told Sprague was hitting me up, and I was like, hey, just tell Gary to unblock me. That'd be great. Maybe we can get him on the show. I don't know why he's mad at me, but yeah, no, I mean, that's a huge, just like awesome move by Gary Nolan. That makes me love him infinitely more. Yeah. And, you know, and I, if I was Zignal, if I was Brian, if I was anybody else who also had stuff taken down from the merch store, calm down, let the process play out. I have a feeling you're going to win out. You're going to win out because this is so many people chimed in on how do you trademark something that's been around for 60 years. And like you said, rather, they didn't popularize the term. No. They don't own it. They're not the Paris Hilton of UAP, you know. So I think really what it is a patent office saw it. They didn't really think twice about it.
They didn't know what UAP was.
They're just stamping and moving on. And also just know that you can fight trademarks as well. There's ways to fight trademarks. So I think that process is going to be worked out. And I would say just be patient. Let the process work out. In the meantime, boycott the hell out of them.
And
don't buy their stuff.
Buy the Zignal's art and buy Ryan's
the Zignal's
stuff.
art.
I don't have my shop up right now, but
hit them up privately. Maybe they could get you that art that you really wanted in a different way.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like so without the drop shipping. You know, if it's possible, maybe they could do that. But yeah, or support them however you can. But yeah, this is not going to end well for Sasa.
This is so out of left field, and
yeah, it's very so left field.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to UFO video of the day. Because we have two of them, and we're not going to get through all. We're not going to get through two of them. We're going to get through one of them. We'll get through Bill's because Bill gave us his UFO video last 2 weeks ago. And so we've got a UFO video of the day from Bill. So we'll get into that after this promo. It's supposed to be a lot smoother than that. Here we go. Oh, is it that right? All right, it's time for UFO video of the day. Don't even worry about it. We got you covered. Orbs, CGI, hubcaps, military videos, leaks, and endless triangle videos. How did you find so many? Happening now. Jane, Rather, and Lou break down the hottest UFO videos from around the world. Right now on UFO video of the day. Don't even worry about it. We got you covered. UFO video of the day is brought to you by the internet, the unidentified celebrity review, with live shows every Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Yes, it's UFO video of the day. Hold on to your butts, because you're about to see the unbelievable UFO video of the day. I will never get sick of that promo. It's my absolute favorite
it's growing on me the more I see it. I love it.
All right. So, Bill, do we need to bring you up as well? Both the video and let's see here. Yes. Okay. So let's bring up Bill. Bill, what's shaking?
What's going on? Now, remember, this is zoomed in and looped. The video show was captured in September 18, 2014.
Okay. So this is what we're looking at now.
Oh, this is actually a live view of my camera that's outside my door.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let me bring up
like a UFO right now.
It did. Yeah. I was like, wait a second. This isn't the video you shared with me. Okay. So let me find the video real quick. Let's see here. Bill. There we go. So this is the UFO video of the week. It was submitted by our producer, Bill, something he filmed, and it's a video that's looped. And honestly, this is the only video I've ever seen that kind of might be showing one of the 5 observables here because it takes off so quickly, or at least that's the way it appears.
It stops
But Bill,
briefly for a split second.
Where did you catch this?
Right over my house.
Right over your house.
Mm-hmm. I do sky watches. That's why I was showing an example of the camera that I have on. Now this is what was it? 2014. So this is an old system. This is a SCB 2000 Samsung. I took the IR filter out of it, made it more lower light resolution type, but that was captured right over my house, and it curves down, curves back up, stops for a split second, illuminates, which is propulsion to me. It's not lights, it's propulsion, and then shoot, goes right back out.
Ooh, that does look cool.
It does look cool.
Is 3 points of light on it.
Is there any? You say it comes in and then it sits there, then zooms out?
Well, it curves down, comes back up, stops for a split second, and you could see it brightens up like it's powering up to go back.
It takes off.
Yeah, and that's not if that's got to be a drone, if anything, because that a human could not withstand the G-forces of that stopping at a split second like that and then going back out. Now, I'm not saying it's extraterrestrial. I just don't know. It's an unknown aerial phenomena. By definition, I don't know what that is.
Well, this is pretty great because usually every time we don't have the person who shot the video. So this is interesting. But rather, what do you think?
I'd love to see, like, is this zoomed in on a portion of the sky, or like it'd be great to see some reference points in this.
Yeah, the thing is, there's a wider view of this, but I zoomed into it just to focus on this object. There was now, because of the camera system, it has a lot of snow. The clouds appear like snow. It's not like if you switch over to my share screen, this is the type of equipment you want to use now. I don't know if you could share my screen quick. The camera outside. Now that's a Sony A7S III. That is like a top of the line, low light resolution camera. If you want to do sky watching, that's the camera. Now, that's a high end camera. But this right here is the first Sony A7S, and you can get one of these for like $800 now, and this works just as good as the camera you're seeing right now. So, folks, you want to get into sky watching and just put in a tripod. This camera uses a mini HDMI where you got to plug it in, and then you got to plug in a regular HDMI cable into it.
Hey, I'm looking at your footage at your feed right now. It looks like there's something flying across the screen right now.
Plane.
It's a plane. It's a plane. But that's cool, man.
That's a great video, though. Yeah.
It's great imagery. Again, the lighting is not right because I rushed to put this up for you guys to see it and your audience. But if you want to get into some hobbying and looking at sky watches, get a Sony A7S III or a Sony A7S because it's less, it's more affordable. Right. And do your own sky watching.
Did you see this with your naked eye?
No, I actually recorded that footage. I had a DVR system where I recorded everything and then I would review it the next day.
Wow.
And that was tedious, but I got something.
That's cool.
Tedious as hell.
But anyway, great show to all of you. I hope everybody enjoyed it. We're going to be wrapping up a second, so I'll say goodbye and good night. Thank you for sharing that video.
Yeah, Bill, that was awesome, Bill. Man. Thank you for providing it. All right, you guys, that's our show. Before we get out of here, let me try and bring up some music, but I want to say thank you to Das Tapes. They provide all the tunes you hear on the show. I want to say thank you, of course, to Jane, to Bill, and to Carl, who came on the show and helped us out. Sorry, I'm like, dude, my computer is absolute garbage right now. But let's see here. Want to remind you guys, this show will be available on podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Shortly, in about an hour, they usually get uploaded. So please leave us a rate and review. It goes a very long way. Want to also thank. What else do I want to thank you guys? I'm sorry. I'm everywhere today.
Okay.
Let's see here.
Everywhere.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Thanks to everyone. Thanks to everyone in the chats, the super chats. I forgot my sister sent the super chat. So thank you, sis. Appreciate it, Kane's lady. Thank you, Byron McDonald, for the $20 donation. Sparky Lady also had a $10 dono. Oh man, are there examples of trademarking of general use terms? UAP is an acronym of.
I can't think of any.
I can't think of any either.
That's why this is so. That's why this feels so dirty.
It was dirty. It was dirty. It's a dirty move. Let's just put it that way. And we also had a poll. Although, let's see. Can I get to the poll? Yeah, Bill's probably gonna kill me. We should have ended this show like a minute ago. But let's see if I can get into this poll real quick because the poll question was about SaucerCo. Like, do you think they're going to survive essentially this debacle, or should the term UAP be available for copyright on merchandise? 10% said yes, 8% said it's not nice, but it's legal. 17% said SaucerCo will lose this battle, and 64% of the audience said no, it's not cool. You shouldn't be able to do it. So I think I'm with the audience on this one. So appreciate you guys everywhere out there. Thank you so much for being patient with this stream. I have the flu, and also my computer's running slow. So yeah, it was a weird show, but it was fun. It was fun. Thank you guys for being here.
Never know
You
it.
guys got anything?
We're so sick.
Yeah, I'm sick as a dog.
Yeah,
I'm so hopped up on
impressive.
Advil.
You're
and
doing amazing.
Dayquil. It's insane. But anyway, you guys, check out Jane's channel. Check out Rather's channel. We got to get out of here because I know Bill's going to kill me. We love you all. Stay safe out there.
Bye.
I'm going to tell you all right now, all of these wonderful people would not be here without Patreon supporters like you. If you enjoy credible news, reviews, and commentary on UFOs and UAPs 5 days a week, you want to support this show. What's your name? Marty. Marty, look how easy this is, Marty. Pick up your phone. Boom! You're a Patreon member. I mean, look, it's so easy. You just click the link, which is right here. Just for $1 a month, you can support this show. Just fill out the information and pledge what's comfortable for you. It could be $1, $5, $10, or who knows. Just support.